Good morning, Lionhearts. How are you today? It's your old pal Jordan the Lion coming to you live from a weekend. That's right. Saturday morning, I want to go out and get the day started right. I want to just go out, get some... I was going to say fresh air, but I don't know that there is actually any fresh air here in Los Angeles. I want to just get out, get moving around, go have some fun today. I already know what I want to do for the vlog, and I think that we're all going to enjoy it. We're going to go to a true show business heavyweight movie star's home. I'm going to save it till we get there to tell you who, but he's somebody I think that we all love. I really don't know how, if you've ever seen him on anything, how you don't love him. But we're going to go there. I'm going to probably go up to Universal City, roam around, and just have a great day. Hang out with Jaw, have fun. I have some plans tomorrow, so I'll probably go out and do a early morning vlog tomorrow, and it'll be a little bit shorter, but it's going to be a great weekend. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. Nice house. Now we're actually going to be traveling to Beverly Hills today for one of our locations. They have a sign that says, "Please keep off the grass," yet they have no grass. I wonder if it's an inside joke. Now there's a classic, and clearly it's been driven recently because the windows are down, the surfboard's in there. Gotta love old cars. Love it. It's a Mopar thing. You wouldn't understand. Well, you're right, I don't. But I bet Daryl Turcotte will understand. That's gotta be some sort of car lingo. I just always love coming by this house. I love everything about this house. Well, I think I'm gonna go drop Jaw off, and then I'm gonna go start doing some of the locations of our vlog, because I actually want to hit a couple of places today. A couple of houses, and even hit their Star on the Walk of Fame. Well, this one's looking great as usual. Every time I come by here I have to take a look and film their amazing display of flowers. Well, here we are. Today's adventure is the last home of Nathan Birnbaum, a man we knew as George Burns. Who lived most of his life in this house. It was actually at one point even decorated by Billy Haynes, who I will cover at some point in the future. And Billy Haynes was one of the people who actually had decorated Joan Crawford's house. But this is George Burns' last home, and there's actually a pretty famous like little video of him talking about, like, oh, you're looking for movie stars' homes? Well, you found George Burns' house, and he's sitting right here on this little like stoop thing, and you can kind of see the angle of the house is right there.
Hello. You're probably looking for movie stars, huh? I'll let you in a little secret. George Burns lives here. I'm waiting for him to come out. I want to get his autograph. Nice man.
But I always loved his career. He was a man who performed for 90 years of his 100-year life. And if you can believe it, he actually performed in every single decade of the 20th century. He got started in vaudeville at the age of 7 years old, did numerous different vaudeville type acts, including dressing up as a horse, roller skating, and then eventually would meet Gracie Allen, change his name to George Burns, and they'd become George and Gracie, and they would actually perform together for 40 years. Isn't that crazy? His best friend was Jack Benny, and it's funny that, well, not funny, but Jack Benny was actually going to be in the Sunshine Boys with Walter Matthau, and then he passed away. So George Burns ended up becoming his replacement for that movie, and then won an Oscar at the age of 80 years old. I mean, George Burns was just a fascinating guy because you're hard pressed to find anybody that could say a bad word about him. Everybody seemed to love this guy, and I think the property is still owned by the family. You know, I saw an interview with John Denver talking about his time working with George Burns during the Oh God movie, and he just said, you kind of waited for the director to yell cut so you could go over and listen to George's stories, and during breaks you'd always see people crowded around his dressing room listening to him tell stories. Everybody loved him, and he goes, until, you know, forever, even up to his 100th birthday, John Denver would keep in touch with him and say, I think about you all the time, every day, and what you taught me making movies and just being a good person. And George Burns actually at one point would say, people would say, like, how did you live so long? And he said, well, everybody's dying, that's easy. Everybody's doing it. I prefer to live. But he said one time that his philosophy or his recipe for happiness was, he said, good martini, a good meal, a good cigar, and a good woman. How great is that? To think, 90 years. He was performing from 1903. He made his debut, and I think his last official nightclub performance was in 1996, possibly, even maybe before that, 1994. He was known for that cigar. He was actually the producer of Mr. Ed and would perform on an episode or two of Mr. Ed, which is kind of an ironic thing, and hadn't really performed on TV or film much until they asked him to replace Jack Benny, and they said when they brought him in to kind of test for Jack Benny's part in Sunshine Boys, it was just like an obvious fit. I found an interview where George Burns actually said that he would go out on stage every day when he would perform with Gracie, and he would test where the wind was blowing on the stage so that he would make sure to stand where the cigar smoke wouldn't blow in her face, which I thought was really sweet. He said that performing with Gracie was like a dream come true because she was so easy to work off of, and wow, what a career. I became a fan of his watching, I think it was Just You and Me, Kid, but I loved him in Going in Style. That's one of my favorite movies ever, with Art Carney and Lee Strasberg. And then he was, of course, in Oh God, You Devil, Oh God, Book 1, Book 2, and The Sunshine Boys. If you've never seen The Sunshine Boys, make sure you see it. It's Walter Matthau and George Burns in some of the most comedically genius stuff you've ever seen in your life. Definitely check it out. 100 years. Thank you, George Burns. If you want one more reason to love George Burns, one of my favorite things that I read about him was that when he got his start in vaudeville, his father actually passed away, and he supported the entire family pretty much his whole life. All of his brothers, sisters, and mother. 90 years of professional show business. Holy moly. What a stand-up. Now today's vlog I wanted to really kind of do in reverse. I wanted to do it a little differently than I've normally done a vlog. I wanted to show you the end result, what he built his life up to and his achievements, and now I'm going to kind of take us back through moments of his life, all the way back to his first apartment in Hollywood. Now it was no surprise in 1960 on February 8th they would give George Burns his own star, because the guy had already done quite a bit of radio. He had already wrapped up 8 years of the George and Gracie show just to block down the street, and had already been in movies. The question was, what would you give him a star for? On February 8th they decided to give him a star for his contribution to film, and it was no surprise when they decided to do it right here outside the Hollywood Plaza, where George and Gracie would keep a long-time suite. They actually had a office/suite here that they would use because, like I said, in the early 30s, a block down the street was where they recorded a radio show together, and then in 1950 at the ABC Vine Street Theater that I've already vlogged, they also started the George and Gracie show. So they were actually connected to this block for better part of 15-20 years. Now here's the funny thing, not only was George honored with a star here, but on the very same day he was honored a few blocks away with another star. Let's go check it out. The true Hollywood dream come to life. I mean, if you think about it, a couple who started their career as what was called a wait around act. They only got to perform if one of the main acts was sick. George would go on to write 10 books and receive honorary doctorates in his life. Now on the same date, February 8th, 1960, he received this star as well, but he wasn't done here. And in 1984, they honored George with his third star, 24 years later, for live performance. And at this ceremony, he said if they give me one more star, they gotta give me the sidewalk. Now let's go check out George Burns' first apartment. Yeah, 3 stars. 3 stars on the Walk of Fame. Well, I've been here to vlog this before, and it goes by many names. It was once the Manor Hotel and once known as the Chateau Elysee. But this was the first home that I was able to find of George Burns and Gracie Allen. They lived here in the early 30s, right around the same time that people like Clark Gable would have lived here, and Errol Flynn, Humphrey Bogart, Vincent Price. This used to be an actor's hotel, an actor's boarding house kind of place that was owned by Tom Ince's wife. And now we've seen the last long-time 40-year home of George Burns and the first home of Hollywood of George Burns. Well, ironically, gang, just as I was finishing up my last clip, I got an email asking if I was available to work a last-minute catering gig tonight. So luckily I got everything done that I wanted to get done, and now I'm going to call it a night so that I can go work for like 6 hours. So have a great night. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care, George Burns.
Pacing the floor, scratching the door, bursting my mold. If you didn't know